Yeah, I don't know. If
That's a very dangerous game. NyQuil roulette.
NyQuil roulette. That's a good game.
Entirely a joke. I'm not going to do that. But I have been telling people I'm going to do that every time I leave what I'm doing because I've been sick for like 10 days now. I've been telling people like, oh, I'm going to, I got my NyQuil in my car. I'm going to go ahead and drink it and see if I can make it home in time. And
Please don't.
everyone gives me that exact same response.
That's good.
I mean, well, it depends. Does NyQuil knock you out?
Yeah. Well, no, you can fight it. It makes you feel.
You can fight it.
It makes you feel tired, but it's not like the kind of tired where like just natural melatonin that your body makes. Where if you fight it, you'll get your second win. Whenever is it wind or whim?
Wind, I would say.
Yeah.
Wind,
Like wind behind your back.
I thought it
kind of
was
thing. Yeah.
wind with a D, not a T.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said wind.
Yeah, he said that.
It sounded like you said went.
Yeah, my second wint.
Okay. That wasn't one of the options.
I got a second went, so I went.
But yeah, whenever you take like NyQuil and fight it, you get very high.
Yeah.
The first night I took it, I like drank it. I really.
You're like, damn it, it's not nighttime.
No, I took it and I like fell asleep.
I have done that before. Take like the NyQuil like pill
Dayquil.
thing.
Oh, you took the wrong
instead
one?
of a Dayquil.
Oh.
And I went to work at UNT and it was not good.
Yeah, I bet you felt really high.
They're
I
different.
felt awful and then went to go like lay down on a bench and then my boss walked by and was like, "What are you doing?"
They're different colors.
Yeah. I was tired or hungover. I don't know.
Is this how we find out Adam's colorblind?
Surprisingly, I don't have any color blindness that I've found in like taking those tests or anything. I don't know if y'all have ever done that, but
Not that
I was
is that
curious
a-
because I do like visual design stuff. I should probably
Yeah,
know if I'm colorblind.
Is that why it's why is it surprisingly? Were you expecting to have some kind of color blindness?
I think most people do.
got
Most,
that.
most
Really?
men do. At
most
least.
people have
Really?
color blindness.
Most men have some level of it.
Interesting. Now, now I want to take that test and see
Like,
if I have.
you
any.
wouldn't
feel
know
like
either.
I'm on Joe
I mean,
Rogan. This feels like disinformation. Hagen, can you pull that up on the screen?
Yep.
Hey, me.
Morning. Welcome to Don't Be the Artist. I'm Hagen.
Dave.
I'm not Joe
He's
Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
That's Yaxon.
Yeah. Haxon.
Haxon. Yeah.
Fuck.
Haxon. Yeah.
What a missed opportunity
I
that
thought
was.
you were trying for
Close,
that.
but
No, what kind of was?
Haxon.
Hack up a lung.
Welcome back, Haxon.
Yeah.
We missed you last week.
We'll see how long I'm here.
Does that mean this episode or just like in general on the podcast? Do we have to keep getting other people to fill in?
Just in general. I'm
very-
taking each day as
ominous.
it comes.
We've had a lot of new Jacksons on the show.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Only had one new Dave.
Yeah. Only
What
that
if
the
we
only time?
assemble all the new people and just have them do their own
Let's
shows?
That
make
would be
a
funny.
new podcast with Mike, Riley, and
Ben.
Ben. and
Be really
Mallory,
funny.
And
Yeah.
Mallory.
That would
That'd be
actually be
really
pretty good. Yeah.
I'm not against that.
That'd be great.
We just tell them all, we're not going to do this week. We need you to come to Hagen's house and record this podcast.
I don't feel like
It's all
any
set
of
up.
them.
Just press the button.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any of them well enough to truly say this, but I don't feel like any of those four personalities are really like perfect for each other. Like I couldn't see the pairing. Like maybe Ben and Riley, and then Mallory and Mike.
Ben and Mike too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Ben would be like the glue.
Ben
So
would be
what we're saying is Ben should have a podcast again
again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again,
he really
yeah.
should. Yeah, he
Yeah.
really should bring that shit back. That was great.
because he's definitely listening. So
Hi, Ben.
He definitely isn't listening.
No.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good week?
Yeah.
I feel great.
I'm tired.
Tired.
Adam's tired. He's been taking NyQuil, sleeping on
Yeah,
benches.
just all day. Yeah.
He doesn't know if he's hungover or just tired.
He can't tell if it's NyQuil or Dayquil.
Yeah.
You can't
It's a
tell if it's
straight
night or
glass
day
of
outside.
vodka
Yeah.
with peach juice in it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're drinking?
No.
Is it
What-
peach juice?
No,
It's
it's
just-
tea and lemonade.
Tea and lemonade.
Sugar tea? Is there sugar in it?
Sugar lemonade?
He's already sweet enough.
So I have a lot of stuff to do tonight. And I'm tired, so I'm drinking caffeine. So
Okay.
I had a Dr. Pepper last week.
Nice.
texted you
yeah,
about
you
it.
sent me a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is that a rare occurrence?
Very rare.
I know that's really rare, but it's also really funny and cute that you sent Jackson a picture like, look, I'm having Dr. Pepper.
I said thinking
He
of
does
you
it every time.
every time. That's the first time I've done it.
No, but like you'll do stuff like that.
Yeah, I think about you.
Yeah.
I think about all of you.
That's weird.
It's not weird.
Yeah, and then he also sent me like, "Hey, there's the new Queer Eye." I'm like, bitch,
Yeah.
bitch, I know.
Well, I just
I
wanted
follow
to.
most of them.
Yeah.
Feel free. Any guesses of who I don't follow?
Bobby.
Yeah, definitely not Bobby. He's like the. I think he has the hardest job and also is the most expendable.
Yep.
Uh,
Karamo.
Any guess why it's not Karamo? I used to follow all of them.
Any guess why you don't follow Karamo?
Uh huh.
No.
I just got so sick and tired of hearing about his daytime talk show.
Yeah.
It was genuinely that, because I do really like Karamo. I mean, he's the one who makes me cry every episode.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to like partition off. I can only watch an episode a day. I'm not finished with it yet. But
And you're coughing too, so you're crying and coughing.
It sucks.
I have to go back 10 seconds all the time to see what they said.
I've genuinely like I was like, oh man, if I like watch more than 2 episodes, I'm gonna be like dehydrated. Like it just like fucks me up. Yeah,
Yuck.
I finished the whole season.
like in a good way. It
Yeah,
fucks me
yeah, of
up.
course.
Yeah,
Of course.
It's a great
I love
show.
that show.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite show. Yeah. Also, no other updates for me. I just
You haven't done
You
anything.
didn't see a band last night.
yeah. Last night I saw Coheed in Cambria. That's why we're recording
the-
on a Tuesday,
13th?
10th.
10th.
I'm in the double digits. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they and I did the exercise that I did last year on here, but I did it today, just in a room with my partner. Of like, I can name every Coheed show in order and all the bands that they played with on
That's
each
crazy.
tour.
Nope.
And the only one that's kind of like a caveat is like I saw him at a festival, which I can name all, like not every band I saw there because I'm sure there's some that I forgot, but I can name a lot of the bands I saw there. But yeah, I could do that, and I did it today. And the reason why I bring this up is because last night they had. Have you guys heard of the band Deaf Heaven?
Yeah.
No.
So they're like this metal band, and the way that like a lot of people describe them, and I think it is apt, is like black metal shoegaze. I was pretty shocked. They only played like 5 songs, and it was like a 45-minute set.
Isn't that just Doom?
I don't know. And the reason why I might disagree with what you're saying, the first song, I think it was like a 9-minute song. I think it was in a major key. And I was like, this is just bizarre that there's this like very obviously like this guy screaming like black metal screaming, which like if you don't know the difference, like black metal screaming is typically very treble. It's very high register, not Judas Priest type stuff. Like it is very like it
It sounds like somebody going,
Yeah.
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 and it was that the entire time. So his vocals really cut through. And then you have this like there was no chugging, there was no breakdowns, there was nothing like that. It was very much all the guitar
Was it like-
motions were like
Okay,
that.
so
I was like,
like-
oh, I could play these guitar lines, and this is very clearly a metal band.
Not a lot of like riff action.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
it occasionally happened, but I've heard of this band because they're like one of those like indie or not indie Pitchfork sweethearts, which is rare for a metal band. So
Yeah.
anytime that happens, I'm like, oh, I'm curious, and I've listened to them a couple times, and it's not for me, but I could see why people would really like it. But apparently, like the Coheed fan base, because I'm in like the subreddits and everything, they like have fucking hated them this entire tour. Like everybody has like shit talked them, saying like, hey, just go ahead and skip their set, or like basically that's the merch time and all that kind of stuff. People fucking hate them.
I actually saw
sucks.
people who were at that show post something like, "I'm not a fan of this."
It was wild. Like one of my friends that I've gone like who goes to these Coheed shows with me. Like we rode together, and he was talking to me. We talked beforehand, and he had that same thing of like, yeah, I've heard pretty bad things about them. I was like, well, let's go in with an open mind. I've heard the same things, but like, fuck it, we might really like them. And man, he was just like the entire time. At one point, I just like grabbed his shoulders. I was like, you might like it, man. You might like it.
Don't listen to the other people.
Yeah, it was just like, he was like, that bass is just overpowering. I was like, yeah, but that's more of a mix issue. And he goes, I can't hear the snare drum at all, except for when he does like a rim shot, and then it's the loudest thing ever. And I was like, also might be a mix thing, but like just like, and then I was listening during Coheed, and I was like, it's the same issue. It's a mix thing.
Yeah.
There is one thing that the singer did that like it, at the end of it, I did not love it, but there were basically, if there was no singing, I would have really liked it. I was like, this is like super cool, but the singing got old for me. And also, hot take, I hate when a singer spits on stage,
I can't stand it.
totally.
especially indoors.
Out into the audience?
No. But like obviously
Either way, but like
on the ground, indoors, just exacerbates my feeling on this. And then also as the opening band, it's like, dude, somebody's got to fucking clean that up.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I hate that. It's not really the worst thing. Like, I don't think you're a bad person because of it, but I just see it and I'm just like, why'd you do that, man?
Do you think he asked Claudio if it's cool?
No, absolutely.
Hey,
not.
Claudio.
He probably thinks it's cool.
Not knocks on his
Yeah.
on his green room
I'm
door.
trying out a new thing where I spit on stage.
The drummer for Coheed was wearing a Colin College t-shirt, so repping your the local
Jesus Christ.
community college here.
That's great.
Yeah,
Where was the venue? What venue was it?
House of Blues in Dallas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think that's too small of a venue for them. Every time they play there, it sells out, and it's just like, why are you guys playing here?
We talked about that because, not to go back, but talking about like how many times you've seen Coheed and you can name every show. I was like, I've seen Between the Buried and Me in the double digits, and I cannot name every like lineup and what. There's no way.
I don't know how many times I've seen Between the Buried and Me.
But like Between the Buried and Me is playing at the Factory, which is fucking huge, and Coheed's playing House of Blues. Not
It
like
should
a
be
small-
vice
they-
versa.
They should 100% have switched
Well,
that.
and
It's
like
crazy.
Coheed was supposed to play the Factory for this show, but then the pandemic happened, and then that show got canceled, and then it's so many years down the line that it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll just. I'm sure they just took whatever was open,
Right.
But
Right.
it
'Cause
just feels
they're on a
wrong.
big tour, right? Lots of dates, so
Yeah.
they needed to have this work. Didn't
Wild.
care as
Yeah,
much
which
about
I'm
the
sure
venue.
that is what happened. But yeah, I think I would have had a better time at the Factory because it did feel kind of like, it was a sold out show, obviously, and it's one of those things where it's like they did this never ender thing where they play an album all the way through last time for their biggest album, and they did that at House of Blues, and I thought that was some type of like tactic of like, if they have a completely sold out tour, it's leverage for their next album tour to book a bigger venue, because bands will do that kind of thing. But now having them doing this and selling out the same way, I was like, what? I don't understand this, because the album they played all the way through last night is not one of their bigger albums. It definitely has its fans, but like, yeah, it was weird. They didn't end on Welcome Home, which I personally welcome. It does make it hard for me to know when to leave so I can beat the traffic. But yeah,
So,
no,
You mean they didn't play it at all then?
they didn't play it at all.
Huh.
Yeah, and
Weird.
we did have a discussion on
I feel like there were probably so many people so mad about that.
Yeah, I think so. There was definitely, when they ended, there was a kind of an air of like encore, and I was like, no, guys, they just played 2 sets. Like, I don't think there's going to be an encore. But there was that kind of air of like people started chanting it. House lights come on, like rap music starts playing. I was like, that's them telling you to fuck off, guys.
Get out!
But like, we did have this whole discussion. We got, I guess, dinner, late night food afterwards, and we were talking about like, do you think that they have the double neck guitar like on tour? And I landed on no, because I was like, I bet that's the line in the sand, because yes, he does use it during like the second solo of the song, but it's like, you don't need it.
Yeah.
You could play that song without it.
Yeah.
But, and I was like, I bet they put the line in the sand of like, no, that's a crutch. We're not doing it. And then everyone else was like, no, I think like it's a comfort. So the exact opposite. What do you guys think?
I think if
I know the answer.
they're that big of a band that I bet you they have a guitar boat,
They do.
and it's probably
17
there.
guitars.
Yeah, so I would say it's there.
I would bet
Just for
it's-
Claudio, 17.
Yeah,
Fuck.
Yeah,
I would bet
that's
that it's
excessive.
I would bet that it's there.
it is.
I would
Yeah.
assume because what if just he decides he's like, I do want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and then so
It's
like,
so
You don't want to be
though.
the guitar tech to be like, oh, well, you told us not to bring it, so we didn't. Like,
so the drummer's been doing this thing where like, he's like, this is a tour, like showing like, here's like the highlights, but here are also like, this is my off day. I sit in my hotel room and then I go run 10 miles. Like, this is what tour is like, that actually showing what it's like. And he did one the other day, and that's
Does
how
he
I
also
know.
does he run open handed too?
Yeah. But basically, he that's how I know.
stupid joke.
That's how I know that guitar is there, because he like walked back. But get this, so like he's got this iPad that like I guess I don't know what it triggers for him, but it triggers something. And he was like, yeah, so see here, my drum tech's got the same iPad. I have one to the side of me, but sometimes I'm swallowing on a cymbal when I need to be hitting that. So my drum tech will hit it on his iPad. And he goes, see, that's the whole set right there. And I paused it and I was like, well, I just saw this. Let's see what's on there. I was like, yep. Entirely the set. At the very end, welcome home. And I was like, so they have it in their pocket.
Yeah.
But they're
That makes
just
sense.
choosing not to do it.
That makes sense.
Which I'm all for it.
I just looked too. They haven't played it since October last year.
Yep. And that
So
was
they've
their
gone
last
this
tour.
entire tour without
Crazy.
even like feeling like they want to. So
That's,
Do you think
that's good for them.
Maybe his wife, Claudio's wife, is like, I don't like that song anymore.
No, I don't think that at all. He does change lyrics though. And he
That-
does like not say certain like cuss words. He'll do this like one of the lyrics is I didn't mean to do a whole Coheed thing, just by the way.
That's fun.
He did a like one of the lyrics is Josephine, will you follow me home? Josephine, will you fuck me back home? And when he does that now, he goes, Josephine, will you me back home? Like he goes away for like a little breathe.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where they're a band where everybody screams the lyrics back at them so people don't notice. But my throat hurt. So I wasn't even like mouthing the lyrics last night. So I was really watching him and I was just like, man, you do that a lot. Nobody knows. And also the hair will be in his face and you can't see him at all. So
Yeah. The drummer posting that stuff about like tour updates reminded me of the guitar player for Theo Katzman. He does these like he'll like post every night where they're playing, the venue, and a really like detailed description of like what the experience is like for him. Like the stage is this big, there's a green room, all this kind of stuff, whatever. And their tour just ended, and he posted a picture of his living room, and he was like, all right, tonight's gig, somewhere Chicago, Illinois. And then he posted like this whole description of like there's a washer and dryer in the back, there's a shower here, and then he said, and the manager here is a total baddie. I think I have a chance with her.
that's so fucking funny. Here's a little pro tip, and then we can move on to actually what we're talking about. If you know any like musicians that do that and they do it at one of your local venues, if it's a backstage thing, watch for a piece of paper on the wall in the video, try to pause and see if you can read it. 9 times out of 10, the venue Wi-Fi password is right there. So if you've ever been at like one of these like sold out shows and you're like, fuck, I can't, like the internet here sucks because everybody's trying to use their phone.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
So I think House of Blues Dallas Wi-Fi password. There's another one I have. I think it's Granada Theater.
The thing is, a lot of times they change those passwords.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I go infrequently enough that I probably don't have those, but it's typically something really simple like House of Blues music.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
Moink.
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 Yeah.
Moink.
So, have you heard about Ted? Nailed it.
Have you met Ted?
Yep.
Have you met Ted?
No.
Have you listened to Hyperpop?
Yes.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
What'd you listen to, Dave?
The album that you told me to listen to.
Which was?
Charli XCX.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down.
I know who it is, but I don't know the album name.
How I'm feeling now.
What about you, Adam?
Sophie.
Yeah.
Is
I
Sophie's
couldn't-
only album, actually.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what.
I don't know the album name.
Let's see if I can even get it. It's like something pearls on insides.
That's pretty close. Oil
Oil of every
pearls on insides.
That's like it feels wrong coming out on
Yeah,
insides.
that's why I
I'm
wasn't
like,
gonna try to even.
it's yucky.
do it.
It feels
I
wrong.
just did the thing to you that my students do to me that I hate.
Yeah.
It's like, what'd you practice? It's like, what you told me to practice.
I
And I'm
was
like, you fucking asshole.
I was fully prepared to like pull the eject cord on this entire episode based off my text that I sent this morning. I was like, if they didn't listen, I'm not doing this. Yeah. And I don't even care if
Did you
Hagen
think that we
listened.
weren't gonna listen to stuff?
Yeah, I did.
A little
I think
worried,
Dave
maybe.
and I are pretty good about doing our homework.
Sure. But Hagen,
I'm a fucking adult, man. I'm an adult man.
that's how you know if I think something's actually like super funny is I start
Coughing.
coughing. Somebody at dinner last night said a joke, and I was just I was eating my cheese fries. You can guess where I was
Classic.
eating. But I was eating my cheese fries, and then like he said something, and I just went into a cough fit, and I just like turned to him and smiled. I was like, "Yeah," because he looked at me concerned. I was like, "That was funny." Yeah, I'm not even concerned whether he listened to his album because he went to a show.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he told. Did you guys talk about the
We
the
did.
Gecs show?
We did talk about the
I guess
Gecs
we
show.
know you didn't listen to the episode now.
I
thought I said that
He
from the
said he
get-go.
didn't listen. He was open about that.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, I was open-handed
Get
about
off your
that.
phone, man.
Make their notes that maybe we'll update again.
Yeah, maybe they'll update. Hopefully they update. Or hopefully I remember to upload the videos.
I think as long as I don't open it on my Mac, we're good.
Okay, good.
We'll see.
Did you fix your laptop?
Yeah. That's what the show is about, right?
Yeah, we talked about the Gecs show, and
Yeah.
we talked about how immaculate the vibes were, and
Wonderful.
and how much fun it was, and also the
45-minute car trip
I
out
did
of the parking lot.
I did not talk about that. I did not talk about us being stuck in the parking lot for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I got my skateboard out and
Yeah, he showed
skated
me
around.
he showed me the footy.
It was good. Hagen just got out and ran off at one point.
I wanted to know what was going on. I had to just see it.
Like
So,
why you haven't moved.
Yeah, I just wanted to see why we weren't moving. Like if it was truly just exactly what we think it all is, people just being fucking stupid. But that's not the point. The point is that we saw 100 Gecs, and we're here to talk about Hyperpop today.
Yeah, so I'm not by any means the aficionado on Hyperpop, but for the four of us,
Yeah.
I'm a scholar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're the
exactly.
resident hyperpop aficionado scholar.
Yeah, and it really just comes down to I have the basic understanding and have been interested in this genre for multiple reasons, but just like I genuinely have enjoyed the music, and as I've peeled away at the onion that it is, realize that it is a bit more of a less of a genre, or at least that moniker hyperpop is less of a genre and more of it's just it is, while it's not entirely young musicians, because the most famous one right now is 100 Gecs,
Yeah.
and they're my age, so it's they're not young. So whenever we had an extra ticket to that, and we were trying to hand it out to people, and I got 3 have fun with the TikTokers, and to each one of those I just said, okay, boomer. And it's this weird thing that people shut down music because they're oh yeah, that's that young people thing. It's what does that fucking mean? They're my fucking age. The
Well,
people up there,
you're only
the
allowed-
fans aren't.
You're only allowed to listen to the music you did when you were 18.
That's
Sure.
true. Well,
Have fun at your Tool concert
I'll see you fuckers at Ted Nugent.
and Coheed.
Fuck. I mean, the history of hyperpop seems to go pretty far, shockingly far back. But I think to go back to, it's not necessarily a genre. Whenever I was looking up stuff about hyperpop to just learn more about it, one of the most Googled questions was, is hyperpop an aesthetic? And it seems
It's an interesting question.
it seems to be that it's a pretty agreed upon idea that yes, it is a genre and or style of music, but it's so big in what they consider hyperpop to be, and also what the look is, what it could actually equal. It seems to be that people are more referring to it just as a aesthetic than
It's a similar thing to grunge. Now people are grunge is an aesthetic.
I feel like
Yeah.
grunge was way more defined though.
Yeah, of course,
musically, because
I mean,
every
at
album.
the time though, or just retroactively?
Well, yeah, I can't speak for at the time.
Because I feel like at the time maybe it was less defined than
Yeah,
it is
maybe.
now, obviously.
But there are people who don't know what grunge music is, but they know what grunge the style is just as much as there are
Right.
probably people now that know what hyperpop is, but might not know any of the musicians.
Yeah, that's a really great point, because you'll see people wearing flannel on stage playing rock music, and someone will walk up and go, "Oh, it's a grunge band."
exactly
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that term hyperpop, I gave each of you, there's more albums I could recommend, but I gave each of you an album in the hopes of just okay, here's what I think are 3 really good examples of hyperpop, but each one is starkly different. I don't know, did any of y'all listen to multiple of the albums?
I listened to all
Fucking
3.
overachiever over here, Hagen.
Adam
And
did.
Adam? Oh,
Yeah.
I am a bad student.
So
But how many times did you listen to your album?
5 times.
Yeah, that's great. There you go.
Then there
Yeah.
you go.
that's my favorite one out of all of them.
Good.
That's a fucking great record. But each one of those records, while I think they're firmly rooted in what people would classify as hyperpop, it's just they are all wildly different.
Yeah.
Every single one.
How did you pick who got what record?
I actually
how did you
did
pick?
really think about this. I thought if I gave you 100 Gecs, you would really bounce off of that. So I was like, that's not the way to do it. I need to give Dave the most
Dave's gonna hit
accessible.
play and then listen to one song.
Second
and then be
song
like, I'm
where
done.
it's calling him a fucking piss baby, and he's like, I'm out of here.
I gave Dave the one that was like, this is a pop record, but like it has like all the elements, like the just like bombasticness. And then I gave Adam Sophie's record because I felt like, okay, this one is weirder. It is like an electronic record. It is very much, it's more done by a producer and less by like a, you know, like Charli XCX stands out, and then you have the production.
Yeah.
Sophie's record feels like a Daft Punk record where it's like the singing, the person isn't the point, it's the production.
But it also felt like it was like slightly more like, I hate to use this term, but slightly more avant-garde, like slightly more just weirder in like a musical sense. Like it's totally going for something different than just like a pop record is.
But what's interesting about her, and we will get more into this, is that she really pioneered this sound. The way I classify these three records is starting with Sophie's record, that pioneers what hyperpop is. Then moving on to Charli XCX, I think she perfected what hyperpop is on the record Pop 2. But I personally think the album How I'm Feeling Now is a better representation of what we would call hyperpop going into the second wave, which is now, and that's 100 Gecs.
Yeah.
And you could argue, is 100 Gecs bigger than Charli XCX? That's dumb, but like it who knows? So that's kind of how I did that. And I gave Hagen 100 Gecs because he went to 100 Gecs, and I was like, well, he already bought in.
Yeah, he was
this
already
one's not
listening,
going to
so.
scare him away.
Yeah.
I will
Well-
say that's the one I listened to last.
I would say that there's
And I think that's the way to do it
Yeah.
for you two specifically.
yeah, there's a decent chance that 100 Gecs would have scared away both of you. So
I mean, we were listening to 100 Gecs
in the car.
Yeah.
We were talking over
Yeah, but
it.
you couldn't,
Which record,
you couldn't
though?
get out of the car and leave.
10,000 Gecs.
I tried.
Yeah, so 10,000 Gecs is more, their second record, 10,000 Gecs, is more accessible in the sense of like, it has like we already talked about it, but when I like turned off y'all's live
Yeah, you got
stream,
mad at us for not playing the hyperpop song.
I didn't get mad, but I was, it's
mad.
one of those things where like, I can't watch these episodes when I'm not on it anymore because I get that feeling of like, but times 100 of like, oh, I need to like tell them like, oh, because
Right.
I'm used to having the feedback with you guys.
Yeah.
But whenever I listen to my Australian podcast, it's like, well, I have no feedback, so I don't actually get frustrated. But in this, I'm like, well, if I was there, I could tell them, oh no, that's not what they're calling.
You're wrong.
And that's not what that's not what I was trying to do. What I was trying to say was like, hey, I know you think you're listening to hyperpop right now, but you're not.
Yeah, see, you're wrong.
I need to
It's-
show you, like, because like,
Well,
if
yeah,
you
'cause-
walk around saying that, like, oh, that's my favorite one is,
Right.
you know, Hollywood Baby, is like, yeah, but that's like a pop punk song. Like, honestly, Machine Gun Kelly could do that song. But you go into Doritos and Fritos, you go into fucking like Frog on the Floor. That's hyperpop.
Well, I think like what like the Gecs do to me that feels really hyperpop is the fact is like all of the genre blending. The albums feel concise, but in no way is any song like you'll have the crazy electronic songs, you'll have like the pop punk ish, you'll have like definitely the ska songs.
Yeah.
You'll have all of it.
Ska on it. There's
Yeah.
fucking ska.
Apple Music is
There's
giving
multiple.
me ska suggestions now because it's fucking annoying. But so like there's like the genre blending across the board of what these artists can do feels to me like a really generalized definition of hyperpop. But it's not it's not the nitty-gritty of like what it actually is. But that was like how I initially understood what hyperpop could be, was just like taking a bunch of genres, blending it together, not necessarily in one song, but like as a group and as a unit, and still making it having some sense of cohesion within the writing.
So let's roll back a little bit. I'll tell the tale as I see it of hyperpop, and then we can discuss a little bit more of the music. And I'm gonna be picking up my phone a couple times because, you know, as we said, my notes don't sync up on my computer anymore. So according to, you know, the Wikipedia article, obviously, the term hyperpop was the earliest use of it was in 1988 by the Cocteau Twins. Have you guys ever listened to that band?
Yeah.
They're super cool. They have this, I think it's Heaven or Las Vegas is their super famous album. It is just like, yeah, Heaven or Las Vegas. If you want to listen to this like really like shoegaze dream, it's dream pop is really what it is, but 80s. Go listen to that record. Can't understand what the fuck they're saying. It's like just wild. They're from Scotland. I don't know if they're actually speaking gibberish or if it's just they're Scottish, but it's awesome. But they used it basically in the way of saying in the 80s, England nurtured the simultaneous phenomena of hyperpop and anti-pop. So they weren't using it in the way that we use it now, but that is the earliest that it was used. But then there was this basically, there's these conflicting, like there's a couple like English music journalists who have said like, oh, I saw it in a magazine, like a reporter like just said this term in like 2014 or 2008, that kind of thing. So like at that point, people just basically are like, nobody's using it. When it really came into like popularity as a term itself was in, I think it was 2019 or it was
Spotify playlist.
Yeah, the Spotify playlist, which we'll talk about, but not get there yet. But that's where that term comes from. And I think the way I've interpreted, I'm not going to regurgitate all the words in front of me, but the way I interpret it is when we as a band were asked what type of genre we were, we basically came up with this term garage pop rock. And the reason why we said that was not because we genuinely think like, hey, we're a garage rock band with pop influences. We basically put that together of like, okay, if you're going to make us say something, we're just going to say gibberish. I'm going to like paint a broad stroke and then hopefully we catch as many people with it. And I think it did work in that kind of sense of like when people hear that, they're like, okay, whatever, man. I guess I guess I'll just have to listen. I'm like, yeah, no, that's exactly it. So
That's what I want you to do.
So I do think pop is that, but I think it has kind of come under people interpret it as like it is pop music. It is the sugary, the hooks, the melodies of pop. It uses a lot of the structure, not all the time, but on top of that, I think the hyper part of it is used in the sense of it's not limited of like, okay, everything has to be crystal clear. It has to be no jagged edges. There's like a metal breakdown now. Yeah. There's a really loud like actual metal like banging noise in the background. That's part of the drum beat. It will, use dubstep in the middle of a song, that kind of thing.
A lot of auto-tune.
Yeah, auto-tune just super heavily used. And it's just that's basically, I think, the hyper part of it is that like, yeah, we're doing all this stuff like that is like catchy and it's a great song, but also we're going to do whatever. It's not really limited by that kind of genre. And I think that's the biggest thing with this is that, yeah, it just feels like there's not really much limitations. There's all these, expert analysis of the like, oh, it's this critique on like, here's this beautiful pop song and now we're going to throw some shit on it. And it's like, no, I think it's just people being like, oh, wouldn't it'd be like somebody saying like, oh, I'm going to have frosted tips for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to wear a puka shell necklace because that would be kind of funny. Yeah. That kind of thing.
It definitely like, there's a word that was used in the Wikipedia article, it being maximalist, and like I think that's like the perfect word for it. It is because like so much of the time we hear like something being minimalist and or like kind of reductive of something, and this is like the absolute culmination of so many different things. And like you said, like wouldn't it be cool if this happened? That's what it doesn't feel like. You could listen to a song and you can hear when a writer goes, I don't really know what to do here. Wouldn't it be cool if we just did this? And it's like, oh, well, no, you didn't really have an idea. You were just like, wouldn't it be cool if? But it feels like they're like, wouldn't it be cool if? And then put their fucking heart and soul into that idea.
Like they really committed to it.
Yeah, the conviction and the intention behind the, I don't know if the word, if saying it's crazy is like a bad thing, but like the wild out there-ness of like what they
There's no wrong answers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it feels that way too. The first time I listened to the Charli XCX record was on Saturday morning driving to work. And I hadn't been awake for more than an hour. And I was just sitting in my car driving like down the road, and it was just like, oh, I'm I'm so overwhelmed by this right now.
It's definitely one of those things where it's like it's not a country road drive song. It's like it's not like that.
Well, and like this morning I was listening to all three of them again, and I put on 1000 Gecs while I was making coffee, which is just pouring cold brew into a cup. But I was like, as soon as I put it on, I was like, I'm fucking ready for the day. I don't even need this.
Throwing
coffee.
your coffee over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Kara's like, what the fuck?
It's like that like Andrew WK record, like
Yeah.
just like it's very just like it pumps you up, and it's like in the same way. It's like you got to read the room. Sometimes that's not the call.
Sure.
I mean, calling it maximalist makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about that, but we're kind of in like a moment of that for movies too. With Everything Everywhere All at Once is very much a maximalist, like let's just fucking do everything kind of movie, and it works. And that's the same kind of thing with these albums.
What's interesting about most of the bigger, and when we say big, like none of these hyperpop artists are massive.
I mean, it's still new.
Yeah,
so.
like people call it a micro genre, which like what the fuck does that mean? But whatever.
Subgenre would be like the term I would have thought, but micro genre.
Once again, all of these things, it's very frustrating and just reductive.
Yeah.
But what is interesting about hyperpop, what I found, especially with someone like 100 Gecs and Charli XCX, is that it's not when they put things in there that are they feel like especially on 100 Gecs where it's like, oh, there's a metal breakdown here, and you hear that, you would think like some people might immediately think like, oh, this is cheap. They're just trying to do something brutal for a second just to win over some people in that way. But there's I'll ask you all a quick question real quick, and I'm gonna keep points on this.
I have the thing for the loser right here.
Yeah, it's a beer. What type of beer is that?
This is a cookie dough beer.
Can I take that home to my wife?
Nope, you have to drink it. You don't have to chug it, but you do have to take a big swig of it.
House, I assume. Yeah.
But
Safe to assume if anything weird.
Yeah.
Person with the lowest points is going to have to drink that at the end of this episode. So first question here. Where and what album was recorded at the same place as... I'm trying to think of how I phrased this. This wasn't one of my prepared questions. So 100 Gecs for their 10,000 Gecs album recorded live drums, and they recorded it at a famous studio where a famous nu metal band recorded an album. What band was that? And you get bonus points if you can tell me what album it was. It's in LA.
Yeah, you fucking told me this and I forgot.
It's in LA. It really helps narrow
Well,
it
you
down.
go last then. Oh,
I'll go first.
yeah.
Shangri-La,
Okay.
Slipknot.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Fuck.
I think Dave got the studio right, but I don't know.
I'm just gonna have to go with Slipknot. I don't know anything else. I'm gonna have to go with Slipknot as the band.
The studio wasn't the question. It was the album. Album and band, by the way.
Yeah. It was.
I thought it was
band,
studio.
I thought it was band bonus points for album, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It is neither of those.
Fuck.
It is the same studio that System of a Down
That's
recorded
it. Fuck.
Toxicity.
Fuck.
Sorry, I butchered that. That wasn't a planned question, but don't worry, I do have planned questions. So no one's on the board yet. But the reason why I bring that up is because you would think like, oh, it's easy to say like this is cheap. I think I don't know enough about this to really talk too much about it, but like Machine Gun Kelly and like Willow right now are like the very big like pop punk artists.
I think Travis Barker played on both their records.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, but some people are saying like, oh, they're moonlighting. This isn't like, they're not real. Like Willow's like this like huge Nepo baby. And then like Machine Gun Kelly used to be this rapper. Like, have they actually like paid their dues? Like whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really make that argument for these like people in 100 Gecs specifically when it's like, oh, well, like they literally are like, we want the big sound of like, we want the LA sound, which to them in interviews, they've said, when we think of the LA sound, we think of the last two System of a Down records. And I was like, yeah, I definitely hear that now that you say that.
Okay.
I would have never said that. But as soon as you said that, I went
makes
back and
sense.
listened. And I was like, yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I hear it. So they were like, well, we needed live drums on the record. So we just went there. We got our friend and we recorded there. I was
Well,
like,
What studio was it?
I don't remember.
Well, and when we were talking about this, you said that in an interview, someone was like, "How did you get the drums to sound like that?" And he was like, "They're real drums."
Yeah, we went.
Yeah.
It's Cello Studios.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like it feels like such a like, wow, how
we
did
did
they
it.
do that? But it's like, no, they just did a thing that like they recorded real drums.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that lots of people have done.
If you look
Yeah.
up the production credits on the Charli XCX record, there are 8 drum programmers
yeah.
and no live drums as far as are credited.
And
Yeah.
like to her credit, like she's one of those people, and I've said this over and over again, but I think it really just needs to be sung. I think there are people who have just like cracked the code and know how to write music. There's Ryan Tedder, Jack Antonoff, Charli XCX.
Yeah.
If you look at any of your favorite pop songs, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, one of their names, if not multiple, are on there.
yeah.
And she is fucking everywhere.
She's got a lot of credits.
And it's one of those things where like I could hear people listening to her music and being like, oh, it's just pop music. It's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, dude, she is writing the pop music you're like obsessed with. It's
Right.
not that simple. But getting back to the origins of kind of hyperpop. So there was this music collective. It's technically a record label, but a lot of people have said like to think of it as a record label is kind of the wrong way to go about it. It's called PC Music, and this was founded in London in 2013 by A.G. Cook, who that is like who people like say this is the godfather of hyperpop. And his whole thing was basically he was a music producer, much like Sophie, and created this PC Music. And the idea was like, oh, I didn't want to get developed artists or develop artists. I wanted to get the people that I knew making music and basically say, hey, we're going to put out PC Music Volume 1. Not like, hey, Charlie, you're going to put out a record on PC Music. So this was like an early home for specifically Sophie and Charli XCX and A.G. Cook, who is also a hyperpop musician, which I didn't have you guys listen to anything, but he's got a wonderful record that came out, I think it was 2020, called Apple, and it's just as good as any Charli XCX record. But basically, it was this, they were doing like these kind of weird shows to like put like art spaces and doing stuff like that. So it was really more of this kind of collective vibe and less of like an actual record label. So second question, this is a lame question.
You said that was in England, right?
Yeah, London specifically.
'Cause I was going to ask, is that kind of still a common thing, a common thread between all the artists we listen to? Is they're all from the UK, I believe, right?
Yeah, everyone except for like I think second wave has really, the first wave is everyone you're gonna see, it's like I don't think Kim
even
Petras
dating back
is.
to like the initial like
She's German.
She is, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so European, let's say European, and it does kind of have that feel.
I just noticed there were a lot of like both UK like English and Scottish names associated with all this.
Well, and it does have that feel, especially like when you think about like certain like the one of the biggest pushes for like dubstep was the combination of like metal and dubstep in like the mid early 2000s in the UK, and that was also the biggest push for dubstep. And not to say that like hyperpop is like dubstep, but it has like the kind of,
I mean, some of it
some
literally
of it
has
is,
dubstep.
yeah,
Some of it
yeah.
is, but it feels less of like, not to say dubstep is like not relevant at all.
Yeah.
But it's like it felt like a fad, whereas this doesn't seem like the same kind of like single note kind of thing.
But it has
for
like
a
the
better
same
phrase.
the same levels of like bombastic natures of like we're gonna have these crazy moments, big explosions, and then also have these like down sections. There's a lot of bombastic nature between the two.
Yeah.
What's your question? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to hold that. That's going to be my tiebreaker question. But there's a lot of people on these, as I said, there are so early contributors, Caroline Polachek, Carly Rae Jepsen, Charli XCX, Claro. You have people like Kim Petras, Caro Bonito, which they get the hyperpop
That's weird.
term thrown at them, but I don't agree with it. You got Rebecca Black nowadays. So there's all these people that make sense when you think of it. There's another one, Dorian Electra, who is on a lot of hyperpop music, who's from Houston. But basically this kind of puts it on the map as like, hey, this is kind of something, it's electronic music, it's producers, that kind of thing. And that's where you get basically Sophie. And Sophie was an early contributor in this. And I would, as I said, I don't really think of Sophie as like that kind of like, when I think of Charli XCX, I think of her as like this pop star at a music festival.
She's been called like the grandmother of hyperpop.
Who?
Charli XCX.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely get that. So like Sophie, I think pioneers what exactly we think of as the actual sound. And so it very much, it's in that Euro, like Euro electronic music, but it's like moving in this kind of direction where it's like the drums are super like just unique. It doesn't feel like anything. I can't really put a like.
But that's part of the Euro electronic thing is like how unique the drums sound. You think about like kind of like
it's like drum and bass.
Well, yeah, it's like drum and bass. It's like dubstep. All of that stuff is very. But even past that, like really unique sounds. If you go back to like the 70s or the 80s, and you think about like Kraftwerk and shit, it's like very unique percussion drum sounds, and that's been very much carried over into this.
And even like Bowie's Berlin trilogy sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
I guess
that
Brian Eno to that point too, actually.
Yeah.
right. Sounds that mimic the sound of a snare drum or the same qualities, but are not even close to a real drum at all.
Right.
And the production will have like like cool things of just like what's happening production wise may mimic what's happening in the song. You may have an overly like on face shopping on her only record, as Adam mentioned. It'll have a very kind of a sterile or like changing nature when the song's talking about Sophie was a trans woman. And I think that song, the way I interpret it, is talking about like, okay, changing my body to fit what I feel, that kind of thing. And that's the way I interpret that song and its lyrics. And the song moves kind of like that, of like just changing in that way, where in a traditional pop song, you wouldn't really do that. You would be like, you'll have the same lyrics, etc., blah, blah, blah. But it's not going to shift in that way. You're not going to take those kind of like bold risks of like, hey, we're going to put like this really loud noise filter in the bridge or something like that. I would say of that album, I think it's a wonderful album. I think it's super cool, super unique. It can be very abrasive. I don't think it's one of those things where if you listen to this Charli XCX record, you're going to immediately like that Sophie record. Would you agree with that, Adam?
I don't know. They feel very similar to me, at least. Much more so than the other album.
Yeah,
the three of them. I don't know. I feel like Dave would probably like it either way, but it might be different enough that it's like got to be more intentional to listen to it.
It like starts off with this like ballad, "It's Okay to Cry," which is like I think it's a really catchy, it's an endearing song. But it almost, it's like
it pretty quickly changes though.
It changes immediately.
Well, and like
it's like here's the hit, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like to go back to the idea of like it makes sense why the Sophie album was picked for Adam. It like there's something about that album to me that is like, I guess, more intention, like you said, like you want to actually like put the time in and like make sure you're ready to listen to that album. That would help, but I do think that there's obviously like as early on and maybe like especially Charli XCX too, but like as early on into this hyperpop world as Sophie was, there clearly was other influences, and you could be more out there. Because when did that album come out? That was early, right? Wasn't that 2017 or 2018?
2018.
Right? Yeah, I mean, like that to me, that feels early in the grand scheme of the hyperpop world, right? That feels like I
think it truly is like the beginning of like what people say hyperpop is now. Yeah. So then after that, I believe it was, so kind of moving on from that, that's the Sophie record, but Sophie had been producing and working on a ton of records. In 2017, so moving a little bit back chronologically, A.G. Cook is announced as Charli XCX's creative director. And she releases Pop 2, which is this mixtape that, as I said, I think it kind of perfects exactly what hyperpop is and was at the time. And Sophie is all over that record. Right after that record comes out Charli XCX's Vroom Vroom EP, which if you haven't listened to it, it's 4 songs, super quick. The title track Vroom Vroom is so fucking good. It's you may have heard it. It's like, people saying they can't catch me. Vroom vroom. Da-na-na, ride sporty. Vroom vroom. It's super fucking good. But that whole EP is produced by Sophie. So that now you got this really kind of like incestuous group of like A.G. Cook, Charli XCX, Sophie. And then they have all their collaborators just all over all these. So that brings me into my next question.
Should have called the EP.
Hopefully we'll get somebody on the board here because it's a multiple choice question. So which of these following artists did not have a guest feature on Charli XCX's Pop 2? A, Caroline Polachek. B, Clairo. C, Carly Rae Jepsen. D, Cupcake. You can go first this time. Hank.
Did not have a feature?
Did not have a feature on Pop 2.
I'm going to go with...
They all start with C.
Okay, wait. So it was, you said it was Caroline Polachek, Clairo,
Carly Rae Jepsen,
and Cupcake.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Clairo.
Oh.
And y'all can say same. You don't have to choose different ones.
I'll go with Cupcake.
I'll go with C.
What's C?
Carly Rae Jepsen.
It's Clara. So Hagen gets 1 point. You guys
you said they were A, B, C, D, I thought.
Yeah,
multiple
right.
choice, but
He said they were all C.
Yeah.
and then you were like,
And that's how I could win. Yeah.
Clara was on her
he's trying to tell us the answer is C.
Clara was on her 2019 record, Charlie. So
That's really confusing.
yeah.
That is like that the names there really confused me.
Oh,
with
the
all
C's?
the C's.
I
and
did
then-
that on purpose.
And then Clara was on
A different one.
for.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. That's why
Okay, yeah, I see now.
I didn't think you would know that, but I was like, oh, that'll be a nice little fun fact of like, but she was on something. So basically, then the album that I kind of picked to talk about Charli XCX is How I'm Feeling Now, which in my opinion is, I think, the only pandemic record. And when I say pandemic record, like album that was made during the pandemic and released during it.
and a lot of the content is about the pandemic.
Yeah, it is the only one that I think holds up and will hold up moving forward. It is my favorite album of hers. People can argue whether or not it's her best. The reason why I love it is that pop album. Some of her stuff, like her album she put out last year, Crash, loved it. But she very clearly, in the press tour was saying like, I feel like people get hyperpop now. So since I was a huge part of that, I feel like it's time for me to move on. Somebody else is going to do it. I'm doing pop now. Like, that's my thing, which I think is cool. But it's like, How I'm Feeling Now, I think, was her just kind of like, that was the statement piece for me. And it's all these pop songs, but it feels like it was made in a house during the pandemic. And I think that's very, like, it's maximalist in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. My experience listening to it was like I said, the first time in like a 10-minute drive, I was really overwhelmed by it. And then I was like, okay, but I need to give this a really fair listen and a couple of good listens. And as I kept listening to it, it really opened up and I started to like really accept it for what it was. But it's still just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I really respect the artistry on it because there are a lot of textures that feel like they were handled very well. While it is maximalist, it doesn't feel like a haphazard thing. Like you were saying before, it's like it's very intentional.
Yeah.
And the one thing that struck me the most was I was like, I'm singing the words, but I have no idea what the song is about.
Yeah.
Because the form of a lot of the songs is verse, chorus, verse, chorus, 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 chorus.
Yeah.
And that's the structure for 90% of the album.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I wonder if there's more content behind this or lyrical content than what will be perceived for most people who listen to these records.
Yeah.
And there is, but it's funny because like the first song is about her
Yeah, Pink
image and how
Diamond.
she feels like during the pandemic. Presumably, she wants to get out.
Well, the chorus is I just want to go real hard. I just want
Yeah.
to go real hard. Pink diamond in the dark, which
Yeah.
is like it's very simple. It feels very simple, but like when you realize, okay, well, this was written, recorded, and released in the pandemic. It's like it's clearly somebody saying like, I'm so fucking done being inside.
Exactly.
I just want to go out and
a lot
let
of the
loose.
songs are her saying like, I miss my friends.
Yeah.
You know, and there's seemingly a couple of relationships, or at least one that she's talking about.
Yeah, there's the song 7 Years, which is about the partner at the time who she had been with for
Yeah.
7 years. And she was like, I'll love you forever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
We've
so
gotten to the
thankful
point now.
you're here
Yeah.
with me.
No matter what happens, I'll love you
Beautiful.
forever. The second song is, as from what I gather from it, it's about suicide.
Yeah.
So the first song is like, I want to go party. I want to go party. The second song is like, we're going to drive off a bridge and like experience suicide together.
Yeah, and speaking of which,
wild.
the way Charli XCX got that notoriety was that what's that fucking the I don't care, I love it. That's
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
That was her first big song. I forget like what that was released under.
I
That's
don't remember. But when you look at all her credits and you hear the songs, it's like, oh yeah, that's her. Of course it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she has like more producing and like songwriting credits under her name than I think she does like her own songs.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense, like under her like released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total sidebar, but going back to you were talking about some of the earliest and like also biggest names in hyperpop, like mentioning like Carly Rae Jepsen and Clairo and stuff like that. I found it interesting to read that people cited like Kesha and Britney Spears as like,
And it makes sense.
it makes total sense,
especially Kesha with like the heavily auto-tuned, and then like there was a lot of that just like songs about dinosaurs, shit like that.
Well, and like Kesha had like the thing like the kind of like the T-Pain syndrome where it was like, oh, she can't really sing, and in fact she's like a fucking amazing singer. But she also like she had that different vocal styling, so not only with just auto-tune, but also kind of like the talk singing thing and the different way of approaching all of that. I think like, you know, obviously that wasn't like meant to be a hyper pop thing, but going back and like listening and thinking about like some of like the 2011 2010 Britney Spears and Kesha, it's like, wow, this is early hyper pop. This
it
makes
makes
sense.
Yeah. If you want to like a little like just a fun intro to Charli XCX, that's not a full album. I think it's her like 2018 performance of at Lollapalooza of Vroom Vroom, and right before it, she talks. She's like, if you know this song, that means that you're sexy. That means you drive a sporty car. You drive it real fast. If you don't know this song, you're also sexy. And it's she goes on this monologue, and I'm just like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. And she's got these like sunglasses that are kind of look like those like Neo sunglasses. They're like kind of like half sunglasses. I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. She's so cool.
She's super intense too. Because
Yeah.
I watched like some of her, I think it was Tidal performances.
Yeah.
That crazy backdrop. I forget the name of the song, but it was the first 2 minutes was just her rocking the fuck out.
So when she starts Vroom Vroom after she does her monologue,
Yeah.
she then screams into the mic. And I'm not talking about like she does like a woo.
Yeah.
She like actually just like, ah! It's so fucking good.
She was super winded when she decided to start singing.
I am dying to see her live. I want to go to one of those concerts. It seems like so much fun. She has also like a great interview where like somebody like at a red carpet, I think it was at like the Brit Awards, they're like asking her questions, and she just at some point just like looks at them and says, I'm sorry, I have no fucking clue what you're saying. I'm so jet lagged. I just drank 2 vodka Red Bulls. And like the interviewer immediately just like drops the facade. And she's like, well, then how are you doing? Like, let's just talk. And she's like, I'm fucked up. It's so fucking funny. But on this record, the How I'm Feeling Now record, on a handful of songs, you have Dylan Brady, who did the production of it. Who is Dylan Brady? He is part of 100 Gecs. He is a half of 100 Gecs, which kind of moves us into what a lot of people call the second wave of hyperpop, and that's where you get into. Some people say that like, oh, this is what actually coined the term hyperpop, which is the 2019 Spotify playlist. Spotify put up a playlist called Hyperpop, and it had all these people we're talking about: Dorian Electra, Sophie, Charli XCX, 100 Gecs, and then you have AG Cook. AG Cook even did take over the playlist for a little bit and started putting some stuff in it. And there was a bit like he put some like weird stuff in there. Like that was just like, Sly and the Family Stone.
Kate
and like,
Bush made it. Kate Bush is in the playlist.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he put people like that, and people were like, wait, so this is hyperpop? And I think it kind of feeds into the like, you're thinking about it too hard.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of a movement. It's a group of people who are doing whatever the fuck they want. Like I think a metal band could be a hyperpop band.
Yeah.
Like Machine Girl that opened up the show for 100 Gecs. I think they were mainly an industrial band.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it makes sense.
I was going to say, if someone really wanted to, they could convince me that Baby Metal is a hyperpop band. I could easily, like, that would not be
Poppy.
different. Yeah. Poppy. Poppy's a perfect
Yeah,
example.
that would make sense.
Yeah. So 2019 that happens, and that's what people are saying like is coined it. There's this very pretentious Caroline Polchek interview with Q Radio that she says like, oh, genres are made up, and does that kind of whole heady thing of like,
Nobody's ever
I'm
said
from
that.
New York City. I almost turned it off, and I'm glad I didn't. I got snooty for a second, but it is a great interview. But she does that whole thing. She's like, did you know Spotify made that up? And the guy, Tom from Q Radio, love the dude. He's up there with like Zane Lowe. But he just kind of goes like, what do you mean by that? And he has a calm voice like that. What do you mean by that? Yeah? Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. It's just beautiful. But like, I wouldn't say that they coined it, but I think they definitely like popularized it. That's that playlist is probably why we're using the term in the way we are now.
Why we're doing the episode.
Yeah. And then now TikTok happens, and that's why we have people turning down free concert tickets because they don't want to see the TikTok ban, whatever the fuck that means. It's like, oh, what, you don't want to see Ghost?
Yeah,
Ghost was super big on TikTok. Are you going to call them a TikTok band?
Yeah.
Metallica was big on TikTok with
Lizzo.
Stranger
Pretty
Things.
much every musician who's a big deal at this point.
Harry
right?
Styles.
It's a stupid
In some
argument.
fashion.
It makes sense to call it that largely because of it blowing up on TikTok, and it also is like it's a newer style of music.
Sure.
And so you
and the
easily-
audience is younger, and yeah, they probably use TikTok. But
Interestingly
that's
enough,
not,
I'm sure the majority of the audience is younger, but the crowd at 100 Gecs felt like a really even split. It did not feel like majority really young like Zoomers.
Right,
It
yeah.
felt like a really even split of like when you go to any show, like every show I've been to feels like, not every show, right? But a lot of shows I've been to feel like a good even split. You'll even see like parents with their kids, and we saw that at 100 Gecs. Yeah. So I'm sure that there are parts of that where it's true that yes, the majority of listeners is younger, but like at least the people who are going to the show, it feels like a pretty nice divide.
Yeah. So that kind of moves us into 100 Gecs, who they're from St. Louis, Missouri. Really, they're championing what is hyperpop now, what people are really listening to. I specifically at the Coheed show last night wore my 10,000 Gecs shirt because I was just like, everyone's gonna be wearing like fucking metal shirts.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be it's gonna be fucking Mastodon and shit. It's like, I'm just gonna wear this to like, I want to wear a band shirt, but I want to kind of set myself aside away from this a little bit. And I like everybody at House of Blue was like, oh, cool, 100 Gecs. Are you going to the show? And I was like, yeah, I went. And they said, oh, it already happened. Oh, fuck.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't read that fucking tour poster. I didn't know when they were gonna be here.
Yeah.
I bought tickets.
So 100 Gecs, formed in St. Louis, and they don't really have ties to like the PC music and AG Cook and all that stuff. They, once they got big, now they're working with those people. Like there's the song Ringtone off of 1000 Gecs, their first record, whatever you want to say. They basically have two records, and then they have like it's kind of like a mixtape or an EP called 100 Gecs. First album's called 1000 Gecs. Second album's called 10,000 Gecs. And
wonder what the next one's going to be.
I don't know.
There's no way of really knowing.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
Nobody can figure that out.
No, it's gonna be a mystery for all the fans. And then when they announce it, it'll be like, oh my god, I
big
never
deal.
knew.
But they've gotten to the point where they're collaborating with the likes of the people who
the
like
people who inspired
championed
them.
it. Yeah, and like inspired them. Like Charli XCX, there's a remix of their song Ringtone. Charli XCX is on it. Caro Bonito's on it. So like all these people who are in that scene are now like doing remixes of their songs, adding extra verses and stuff.
Is that on their album they did of 1,000 Gecs? That's full. That's all remixes.
Yeah,
yeah. So there's also a song. There's also a remix version of one song that has Fallout Boy, Craig Owens, and someone else from that scene on the song. So super interesting.
Yeah, what you're referring to is the right after they came out with 1,000 Gecs, a little over a year later. They came out with the remix album, 1,000 Gecs and the Tree of Clues, which is entirely remixes. And it is like, it's got Hannah Diamond on it. It's got Dorian Electra. It's got Charli XCX, Caro Bonito. So all these people who are like that. And there's a lot of like speculation now of like, oh, what's the remix of like 10,000 Gecs going to be like? It's going to be so stacked, bro. Stuff like that. But they are the most bombastic one, and like I can see it being probably the most user friendly, but then also the most like it's gonna hold people like my dad at like if you like Stevie Ray Vaughan, don't listen to this. Like, you're gonna be one of those people who's like, what? It's not fucking live, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's something to it where it's like it's really accessible, depending, but also really easy for people who are really accustomed to perhaps more order in their music, or like not just like a bunch of noises and a bunch of just whatever thrown into something. Because sometimes like you listen, and it's like I don't know where I am right now. There's just so much happening at me right now.
It felt to me a lot like they were trying too hard to do whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like they obviously, it's very intentional still, but like they're almost like it comes across as like, we know this is going to be funny, and so we're going to fucking do it.
I think that musically it's really intentional. I think lyrically it is fun. I think that's the whole.
The lyrics are hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch any music videos of theirs?
No.
I did not.
So it's one of those things where it's both genius and also just like it's working so much towards the aesthetic of what they're doing. Even this past week, they released a off their like super like it's a hit. Their record that just came out this year, bona fide hit, and like people are listening to it. Like they're headlining Coachella, headlining all these festivals. Not headlining, but they're like really high up on the poster on these like festival circuits. And then they release these music videos that are just like the music video for Most Wanted Person in the United States off their most recent record. It's just like them stealing packages on Ring doorbells and like going into a convenience store and robbing it with like an AK-47 they made out of a bunch of Monster cans.
Oh my god!
And it's clearly like filmed on like phones and shit. And I was just like, this is the most low budget, but also is working so much in their favor.
It's appropriate, yeah.
On the song Money Machine, like they talk about like big trucks and stuff like that. It's the exact same thing where they're just like the whole song, like they're doing like that classic rap thing where like the angle's kind of below them and they're like singing at it. Yeah, but they're like in front of a tractor, and then they're in like a truck yard where like all the trailers like at a Walmart receiving facility. It's fucking priceless, and it's cheap. And it's working so much for their favorite. The album cover for their first album is just them turned around looking at it's like this big shrub. And you guys know that the album cover for that American football record, how that's a house that people like do like an emo pilgrimage to.
Yeah.
People do the same thing for this. People found out where this is. This is in a St. Louis, Missouri parking lot. It's nothing, and people just go to this and take pictures in front of it, doing that
recreate
exact
the same picture.
It 1-to-1.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
People know where it was, and like it was this whole thing of trying to figure out, okay, where is this? We know it's in St. Louis, but like, there's not much here. And they fucking found it.
That's wild.
So people know where that is now.
You just know there's some guy working at a gas station nearby who's like, these fucking TikTokers are coming here and standing by that.
No,
bush
I don't know
over
where
there.
the fucking tree is.
So
Like, that's the tree I used to hang out at on my lunch break.
Yeah.
I used to piss in that tree.
Probably, yeah.
So talking about the lyrics, here's another question. Hagen is the only one on the board right now. We're talking about the lyrics. The lyrics are funny. but they can. Yeah, they're really. It's just a good time. Dave, good luck here. Which of these is not a 100 Gecs lyric? A. Anthony Kiedis sucking on my penis. B. You talk a lot of big game with someone with such a small truck. C. There's the girl that left me bitter. Want to pay some other girl to walk up to her and hit her. D. I was trying to find a way to kill time. Now you're gone and I can't say goodbye. What? E. E. We don't smoke trees. We smoke tree-sized dicks. Dave?
You seem surprised by the fact that there were 5 options.
Yeah.
I'll guess E.
Okay, so that's we don't smoke trees. We smoke tree-sized dicks.
I'm gonna go with D.
All right, that is I was trying to find a way to kill time. Now you're gone, and I can't say goodbye.
I'm gonna go D as well.
Okay, all of y'all are wrong.
Is it C?
Great.
It is C.
Oh,
There's
fuck,
the
I
girl
love
that left me
this.
bitter. Want to pay some other girl to walk up to her and hit her. That is an Of Montreal lyric.
Fuck, that was my other guess. I was like, I should have just gone for it. Damn it.
Well, here, let's. I got another 100 Gecs lyric question. This one, somebody's going to get a point on because I'm going to be the judge here. In the song "Dumbest Girl Alive" by 100 Gecs, there is probably my favorite lyric on that song. It is "Put emojis on my grave." I think that's fucking hilarious. What would be the 3 emojis on your grave, Adam? I'm just gonna pick which one.
Three emojis.
You can do 2, whatever. What are the emojis that are going to be on your grave?
Can I look at my phone and see my top
Go for
used
it,
emoji?
Dave.
A cry laughing emoji
Okay,
and
not starting off strong.
oh fuck.
The eyes looking at something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then shrug.
Yep. That's very Adam.
Yeah.
The shrug.
The shrug. Yeah, the shrug is pretty
I'll give
good.
you all a little time. So for me, it's definitely the Italian hand emoji.
Yes.
Which
that's
there's going to
good.
be a new one that's a chef's kiss emoji. That's made
that's
for
good.
you.
Wow, that's good.
The shrug emoji, and then I would probably say the salute emoji.
The salute. Oh
like the
man.
salute.
I think I would have to go with cowboy hat. The emoji with the cowboy hat.
Yep.
I would have to go with the kissy face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd have to go with. I think I have to show you this one, but it's like
That works.
It's like the outlined one. You know, it's like the circle. With
Oh,
the dashes.
like the dashes.
Yeah.
Can you show it to me though?
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, can I see what you're talking about? Because I don't.
Yeah, it's this one.
Dave, you haven't given me your whole one yet, have you?
No.
It's the dashes.
That's
the
good.
face.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, Dave.
Okay.
I'm
That's-
torn
that's
between
in the
those two.
obscure
So
one.
Mine is
Yeah,
definitely.
I like it a lot.
I'm gonna start with the thumbs up.
God damn it, Dave.
Whatever.
You've already lost.
I know, but this is who I am. The thumbs up.
The thumbs up and the high five and the wave.
This one. And the middle finger.
You know,
I mean, the middle finger on a grave would be pretty funny.
Adam, what was yours?
The shrug and the eyes.
I just have to give it to him for the shrug. I feel like that's
it's too
so
perfect.
Adams.
Yeah, it's
So
too
it's-
Especially if
perfect,
that's the
yeah.
only one on there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's really fucking good. Okay, I got one more 100 Gecs question. What TV channel played 3 100 Gecs songs shortly after releasing the 10,000 Gecs album? Do you know this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
TV channel?
Then you
TV
don't
channel?
get to answer. Yeah. What TV channel played 3 100 Gecs songs? Like, not like consecutively, like
Okay.
on 3 different occasions right after they released this album. They played 3 songs. Why would I even be bringing this up? You know? So think of that before you give me your answer.
Think of that.
I don't know what that means.
I would ask you for, and I have a source, so I can send you it.
Are you just talking like the music just played, or like
Yeah,
like music
it was
videos?
like they had a show, and as like a send off at the end, like going into a commercial break, they played like a snippet of the songs. I'll give you a little hint. The first song that was played was called "Most Wanted Person in the United States."
It was a TV show.
I mean, sure,
He's saying what channel?
yeah. What channel?
Fuck, I don't even know.
We remember what those are anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give you this question if there wasn't like some like you couldn't just start. It's a big channel.
FX.
Okay.
Adult Swim, which I guess is Cartoon Network.
No, you were off by one letter. It was Fox News.
Oh my god.
So and
Because
here's
they just searched like the name of the song.
no what people think happened is that like there's an intern there who's just like
Fuck it.
it, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And what's very
Wait, was this
interesting.
like Fox News nationally or like some local channel in like?
No.
maybe St.
I'll show
Louis?
you the videos after this. It is like national Fox News. It's one of the I forget the guy's name, but it's one of their like big like shithead dudes. And what's interesting,
Tucker Carlson.
I was gonna
No.
say, is he still there?
I would know that
He
one.
got fired.
kind of.
What's interesting about this is so there's two people on 100 Gecs. There's Laura Less and then there's Dylan Brady. Laura Less is a trans woman. And so there's this whole thing of like, why the fuck is Fox News playing this when they're fear mongering against that entire community? And so recently, they played like 3 songs, separate occasions, and people were just like, this is the fucking funniest thing. So that when they played the song Most Wanted Person in the United States, guess whose picture was up? Joe Biden.
Oh my god.
And then they did so like people were thinking like, oh, they just heard that like chorus and they're like they
Yeah, I'm
played
thinking
that.
they just like search by lyric or something.
Next song they played was Doritos and Fritos. And
Please
then-
say Trump was up.
And then the song after that, Dumbest Girl Alive.
Wow.
So they actually did just this week. So like that happened a few weeks ago a month or so ago when the album came out. And basically just radio silence. Everyone was like, this is fucking hilarious. Some intern just got a hold of this and like they'll never know. And then recently that host basically was saying like, you know what band I'm really into right now? 100 Gecs. I'd really like to see them live. And the whole community was like, dude, the community was either like, that guy could not get out of 100 Gecs show alive. He would die there. Or they're saying like, dude, we're gonna heal the fucking world.
Yeah.
This is like this is a common
so
thing with
fucking good.
a lot of conservative talking heads not like listening to the lyrics, and they're just like, oh, they said that like they don't like so and so, and I like their music now.
Or
Yeah.
in classic fashion, not doing any research.
Just not paying attention
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
yeah, or like hearing the song, be like, I like that. I don't need to read anything about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Someone said
Oh,
there's
they-
trains in the recording. I don't know what that's about, but I like it.
It's this guy. Do you know who that guy is?
No, I don't watch Fox News.
No, I don't know.
I think he's one of the bigger names. But so people are.
I was waiting for that. So
No, I don't watch Fox News. Adam, we thought you did.
So people are theorizing
I
that
mean, we do use TMZ, right? So,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
the people are theorizing why that guy said that was they were trying to like save face of like, oh, we knew what was happening, we did that, but like it's also like okay, well, why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Which
That's
goes into
even-
the research part.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
even weirder if they're trying to like save face because nobody in their audience is going to know or care.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think they didn't want to feel like somebody got
Like they
them.
got.
Yeah.
I got.
Yeah. So that
That's
kind of
funny.
That kind of wraps up where we are in hyperpop right now. There's various newer artists. I've tried listening to some of the like artists that are lesser known in it, and it kind of gets a little bit more into like nightcore and stuff like that, which I'm not very into. You could make the argument that that 1,000 Gecs is kind of a nightcore record, but that's kind of where we are. We're in the middle of like second wave hyperpop. It's super famous right now. And it'll be interesting to see how it moves forward, if it kind of keeps with this same aesthetic. But like kind of the way I see it is that like hyperpop is less of a genre and it's more of a scene. It's kind of like saying that whole like emo music was like, I don't think My Chemical Romance and like Fall Out Boy are really 1-to-1. I think those
Right.
are pretty different bands.
Well, it's like when you
but
look at
you see the tissue.
that wave of emo music is all like these bands that I'm like, no, these,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand why you put them all in the same place, but none of these bands are the same band. Like,
And-
I wouldn't. I'll put them next to each other because of their like genre title, but in no way do I like Fall Out Boy and like MCR. It's a perfect example.
And people put like Thursday and like Under Oath with those same bands, and it's
Yeah.
just like these are wildly different.
Right.
Yeah.
Like but it's part of they are part of the same scene. So that's kind of how I see Hyperpop. So trying to put like your thumb on it, like don't even try that. What I would recommend are the 3 albums that we discussed today that I had everybody listen to. That's the first one being, this is the one that kind of pioneered it. That's Sophie's Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides. And then there's the Charli XCX record, which is How I'm Feeling Now. And then 100 Gecs' 1000 Gecs, which is their first record. That's what also that 1000 Gecs record, it's 23 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
so short.
you can listen to their whole discography in less than an hour.
Yeah, you were talking about their like really like cheap to produce like music videos. These albums are like just like cheap to go give it a shot.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
will. Like
Yeah.
it when I saw the runtime of the album, I was like, oh, I have time to listen to this and like probably the Sophie album again.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
such a short album.
What's really
the Charli XCX record's like 37 minutes or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like the second 100 Gecs album, 1000 or 10,000 Gecs, they
22 minutes or something.
yeah, it's something like that, and it's like this big like famous record. So it's like you don't have to really, you know,
Wait, actually, when they go like tour, are they just playing every song they have?
no.
No. I mean, like
They had like a 50-minute set
to be
but
like
no.
to be as honest as I possibly can be about like Hyperpop and especially the live experience. I felt similarly to that as I did Lightning Bolt. I was like, I
it's
got
the
it.
right amount.
I got it. I got 50 minutes of this. I'm good to go. Like they played an encore, but we were like, let's look at the merch line because the merch line was like wrapping around everything. Then
So you're not going to be seen at the next Hyperpop festival.
no, not necessarily, but I just
Yeah.
I
I think
like,
Andy's just had one. Like
Yeah.
they had a Hyperpop Hell.
I think they do it. They do that once a month now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a hard buy-in.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that 10,000 Gecs record that just came out is like you listen to it and like I could see a lot of old heads like listening to this and be like, oh, they did this and like, you know, it was a quick follow-up, but like they've done interviews and talked about like, yeah, we pretty much obsess over these things. Like there was some number floating around that they had like 700 demos for this album, and they're like, it wasn't that much, but it was definitely like we did like have like 100 demos. Like we scrapped and like redid a lot of things. Like we really did obsess over this, and like to the extent that apparently the vinyl and streaming lyrics are different on the records because you have to turn in the vinyl so it can get
early.
pressed.
Yeah.
And they changed. They're like, oh, we need to change this lyric. So they changed it, and then like basically, I think they said like 2 or 3 days before the album came out, they submitted it to those like the streaming platforms. They're like, here it is, and so they were like, yep. If you have the original press of the vinyl, like it is a different lyrics, and like so people were like, oh, so you're gonna do like a Kanye and like change things, and they were like, absolutely not. When the songs are out there, they're done. We're not changing them.
Yeah.
And
But
then
if
like,
we have multiple chances throughout the various platforms of releasing music,
yeah,
then we're going to change
Yeah, I
things.
thought you were going to say that they didn't like release the records at the same time because they kept making changes and kept like delaying their pressing. But
no, and they didn't really delay anything because there was this whole thing between albums. People were like, "Oh, this was like such an anticipated follow up, and it took so long." And they were like, "We toured for like 2 years,
Right.
And then we spent like a year making the album. Like that's pretty standard. It
That's
wasn't
very
like
standard.
we were just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, you mean they're supposed to put out a new album every 4 months?
yeah, and I think that
only
feeds
20
into the
minutes,
like
I mean.
when it's 20 minutes, people are like, "Well,
Yeah.
you could have done this in like 2 months." It's like, yeah, fuck
Yeah,
off.
fuck you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You do it in fucking a month.
I mean, probably getting it down to 20 minutes is harder than just doing like
I'd
Yeah,
like to
exactly.
see
45
you.
minutes and being like, yeah, that's good.
I'd like to see you write a song called $1 million that just says $1 million. $1 million.
$1
It just does that the entire song for 2 minutes.
It's the TikTok voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know that.
I'm pretty sure that's the one with the like the really famous like TikTok like voiceover girl.
If you want to listen to the ska song that we were referring to, there's a couple, but the best
it'll
one
mess
is
up your recommendations though.
I got my tooth removed.
I got
It's
my tooth
fucking
removed.
gold. It's so, good. Yeah.
One
That's
thing,
all I got.
One thing that made me think of when I was listening to that record is like, oh, there are some through lines I can hear or I could draw between like Radiohead's Amnesiac and this Charli XCX record in terms of like texture changes and how things feel random on the first listen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, so listen to those albums I said. A.G. Cook, if you want to dive deeper. Dorian Electric, and then Caro by Bonito, I guess. I wouldn't call that hyperpop, but like earlier stuff, I guess I could kind of see it. But that band's just great in general.
Nice. Thanks, Jackson.
That's
lost?
what I've been listening to.
I did.
I don't know. Did you lose? Yeah. You didn't get any point. Wait. Before you drink that. Yep, that you lose. I had like I had a clincher like question that was like really lame of like, what does AG stand for in AG Cook? And I was like, oh,
great.
Nope.
Alex G.
Kind of. You got the first one, so he's got 2 points.
He's got 3 points, right?
No, I didn't win the emoji one.
Oh.
I also didn't get to participate in the Fox News one.
Oh.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, that seems a little unfair.
Go ahead and crack that open and give us a nice little review. Is it cold at least?
No, it's
really.
been sitting here the whole time.
Here.
That's fine. There's no way it's that cold.
And what is this beer again for the listeners?
It is Martin House's cookie dough. It's a combination with melted ice cream.
Wait, before you drink it, can you just give it a little whiff of it?
And
first?
also,
Sorry, melted ice cream, and it's also
melted
now
ice cream
room
cookie
temperature.
dough.
Holy shit.
It smells bad, doesn't it?
It smells like Christmas chocolates.
That's so gross. I had a swig of that and I fucking hated it.
Here we go.
you got a big old gulp.
I'm a team player.
You went for it.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's gross.
Oh, man.
Did you drink all the rest, Hagen?
No, I haven't touched them.
Oh,
I was shocked when you took
This is
those.
one of those.
You were going to bring it, so I was like, might as
try it?
well.
No,
come on.
Come
this
on.
is one of those.
got 1
Martin House-
point.
Come on.
This is one of those Martin House beers where I'm like, did you have to make this?
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
No.
Try it.
But I just mean
Try
like
it.
from the description of it compared to like some of the other ones, you're just like, oh, that's cool. You made a beer that tastes like pizza. I see why
Yeah,
that was
Try
fun.
it.
This doesn't seem fun.
Is he
Try
going
it.
to try it?
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. And it gets
not-
worse.
As awful as I thought it would be, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good.
It's not. When I tried it, I was like,
No,
it's not
it's
as
gross.
bad as I thought. as
It could
it
be
was
worse.
described.
It could be worse.
But yeah, it's not very
really
good.
gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story behind that is my partner is a sucker for those gimmick beers, and she always gets the Martin House like gimmick beers, and so she saw that at
I
Trader
am too,
Joe's.
but then I draw the line at like stuff that sounds bad
This is like.
because like they put out 2 of those a week of like weird beers.
Oh, do they?
now. And sometimes you can just read them and you're just like, yeah, I could enjoy that. Like, I'm not gonna buy the pizza beer or whatever, but
Dave's reaction is like somebody like who had like really spicy food. He's like pushing it like go further away from
I don't
it.
want to smell it.
it does have a really bad
It's
aftertaste.
so bad.
So she was super excited to try it, and then I came downstairs one day. I get up way earlier than her, and on our cutting board was the beer, and I was like, "Oh, she tried it," but she didn't throw it away. So I picked it up to like throw it away for her, and I picked it up, and it was still full, and I was like, "Oh, this is gross." And then I took
very
it,
gross.
I smelled it, and I was like, "That smells awful."
So Jackson, you're listening to all the hyperpop.
Yeah, I've also been listening to a ton of System of a Down.
Nice.
A ton. What's your favorite System of a Down record?
Toxicity.
Yeah, so I was tied between that or Mesmerize, but Mesmerize is better to me.
Steal This Album.
Really?
Or Hypnotize.
It's definitely not the first album. What about you, Adam? Do you like System of a Down?
Yeah, still this album would be mine actually, which I think is probably weird. But
Odd.
I think Steal This Album is great.
I think
It
that
is.
was the one I listened to the most.
I
which is why.
got into them at Mesmerize, and then I did Mesmerize, Hypnotize, did Toxicity, and I was like, I think Toxicity for me is just like there's a lot of material that I'm like, it kind of feels really samey after a while. But the songs that are great, which there are a lot of, are great. Steal This Album is like this feels like a snapshot of a System of a Down like moment. It's really strong. That's not what we're talking about.
It
The
is,
new Queen
'cause I
song.
asked.
Oh, that's what you've been listening to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, what do you
Charli
think of it?
XCX.
The Queen song.
Yeah, the Queens of the Stone Age song.
What do you think?
What
of
do you
it?
think of it? Then?
It's great. I didn't hear what he said.
That's fair.
The beer's still fucking with
Yeah,
me.
it really is. My mouth feels disgusting.
No, I also listened to that song and I thought
It's great.
this album's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the song it's not that it necessarily I think is boring. There was a point where I was listening to it the
Oh, it
first
feels
time.
very much the same.
I kind of zoned out at some point while I was listening to it the first time, and I was like, oh, whoa, what the fuck? Not that that makes it bad, but the production feels very Era Vulgaris-y.
Yeah.
So
The band produced it.
really,
Yeah, with
Interesting.
Mark Ronson, I think mixed the album or something like that.
yeah, it doesn't feel like a Mark Ronson
Yeah.
production. But yeah, it's good. It's good.
Why don't you ask how I thought about it?
What do you think about it?
I'm not going to listen to it.
Until the album comes out?
He's not going to
At
listen to
all.
it.
Really?
I'm also not going to see him live.
Why?
Why not?
That's not music for me.
Okay.
I don't like it.
This is not
You're
surprising
saying
to
it's
me.
dad
Yeah.
music or something?
I mean, it is dad music, but yeah, no, it's not. It's not music for me. It's Foo Fighters. It's the same thing.
You're going to listen to the Foo Fighters album.
No, he's not.
I'm also not going to see them live either.
I know you're not going to see him live, but
I've been listening to Hot Mulligan's new album, Why Would I Watch?
YYZ.
Yeah, your face looks confused by that, or was that you holding in a cough? Oh, okay.
Confused in general.
Oh, okay. I think it's. I guess they're considered an emo band. I listened to their album "You'll Be Fine" that was released in 2020.
They're like
and-
that new emo, like mom jeans and like what's that fucking front bottoms,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah. And this album is like a really great, like front to back. I think just kind of. It's like the modern emo now is a lot of like screaming singing styles. Like it's that kind of like I'm emotional, so I'm going to scream while I sing kind of thing. But the first two songs, Shouldn't Have a Leg Hole, But I Do, and It's a Family Movie, She Hates Her Dad. The way that those two songs, yeah,
those are good song titles.
the way that those two songs go into each other is one of the cleanest transitions I've ever heard, especially in that style of music. But I was listening to it, I was like, oh, this first song's really good, I like it. And then I'm in the second song, and I was like, wait, whoa, that was the coolest fucking feeling I've ever got out of like this kind of music, especially out of songs that are like, you know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. So great album. I'm really worried I'm gonna listen to it too much and not like it anymore. But great album. Check it out.
Did you say what? Okay.
No, I did listen to the Queens of the Stone Age.
I remember you talking, but
Don't do it.
I've had it before.
yeah, no,
Don't do
he
it.
took
It's
it and was
not
like,
good.
I'm fine with this.
I'm very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's weird.
not.
Oh, also, Bristol
Dude,
Maroney released a new song.
psychotic.
It's
Nah.
really good. Go on, Adam.
It's not fine. The Daft Punk Random Access Memories 10th anniversary release, which has like a whole second disc's worth of demos and other things. It's
That's
kinda
their
weird.
last song.
It supposedly has their last song.
Yeah.
I listened to that. It's interesting.
I like
it. Not, yeah, I don't dislike it. It's just not. I guess I wanted more out of it. But there are some cool things on there where it's like, oh, I see how they got to like what actually ended up being on the album, and I like where they even like started and stuff.
Did they have that like commentary track?
Yeah.
With Julian Casablancas?
Yeah.
Okay. They did a video of that, which by the way, we're in the era now that one of them has released a solo album, Daft Punk, that we're at the point where he's doing interviews for that. And it came up on my YouTube and I was like, no. I immediately said, not interested. I was like, I do not want to see them. Like this takes this like a whole thing away from me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, this is like, I no, this is
It's
wrong.
like seeing Slipknot.
It's also just weird hearing them like kind of talk.
Yeah.
On this like second part of this thing.
Stay in a mouth longer now because I was laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if you like Daft Punk, it's worth going and checking out. It is going to kind of make you sad that there's not a new album or anything. But
Yeah. And so like I think I already talked about this, but like Pitchfork did this article, I think it was last year, of like albums, if we could re-review them, what would we give them now? That wasn't them officially changing their score. So like some of them were like Andrew WK, where they gave it like a 1 or a 0 or something like that. And they're like, we would give that this now. But then they did all these examples of albums that they're like, we bought into the hype and it's actually not that great. Interpol's first record. And then specifically, they took a chance to just like dunk on Random Access Memories. They're like, we gave it a 9 out of 10 and we were really just bought up in the hype. It's actually now with some distance. It's more like a 6 out of 10. And guess what? Guess what? They did a re-release of the album, so they took the chance to actually dunk on it now officially. And I was like, you guys are fucking dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Jesus
think I would
Christ.
agree with that either. Like,
No.
Random
it's a
Access
great
Memories
record.
is a great album.
I think it's great, and I think it's
It was
like
definitely overhyped.
yeah, it was overhyped, but it's a fitting swan song, and like it's different from what they did before,
Right.
but it makes sense because it's like an homage to like what they were sampling.
Yeah, like their influences. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it's a 6 at all. I think it's a great album. But you definitely have to skip that Giorgio song if you're
I love
just
that
like
one.
driving,
Why?
because it's not a great song to like drive to.
I mean, all right.
Hagen, take us out of here.
Anybody have anything you want to promote or talk about? Anything at all?
I'm opening for Vertical Horizon on Saturday.
You want to talk more
No,
about that?
no, that's it. I'm not even gonna say where. Just that it's funny that that's happening.
What's Vertical Horizon?
They're a band from the 90s
I was going to say,
or
are we
early
supposed to know
2000s.
who this is?
They probably formed before you were born, Jackson.
I don't know why I didn't just Google it.
They have a song.
They did form before I was
Everything You
born.
Want or
When were
Everything
they
You
formed?
Wanted or something.
Everything You Want.
Yeah,
They're
that's
from
that's a
DC.
song that you hear and go, I don't know this song. He gets to the chorus, you go, oh, I know this one.
It's actually about him, his kid being birthed, him becoming a dad.
It's not about a bar.
Nice. I'll be playing at the Bearded Monk, which we talked about. We had Ben on last week and talked about the Bearded Monk. Will be there on Saturday with Matthew and the Arrogant C.
That place sucks.
The patio, man. Oh my God. I'll be there with Matthew and the Arrogant C, and Edgar Derby is also opening the show. So if you listen to our episode with Mike from Edgar
New
Derby,
Dave.
with New Dave, then you'll know everybody there. So come on through the Bearded Monk if you're in Denton, Saturday, May 20th. And also, Matthew and the Arrogant C did release a single, Webs. You can find it on all of your streaming services that you use.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how I pronounce it.
That's how I pronounce it too.
That's
What do
not how
mean?
you pronounce it.
That is how I pronounce
That's not how you read it.
Nope.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it so much. If you haven't already, please follow or subscribe on whatever podcast app you're using. If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe on YouTube, like the video. All that stuff helps us out a whole lot. If you are curious more about Hyperpop, or if you have your own opinions on Hyperpop, please send us an email at
Emojis at.
Yeah,
Try some emoji.
emojis.
And see if that works.
Emojis at
find out if that
don'tfeedtheartist.com,
works.
or you could just email us at hyperpop at don'tfeedtheartist.com with the 3 emojis you would use on your grave. We would love to hear from you about that, or drop it in the comments, send us a DM, anything at all. Tell us your 3 emojis you would put on your grave. If you're on social media, you can find us Instagram, DFTA Podcast, TikTok, Don't Feed the Artists. Give us a follow. Say hi. Say what's up. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody got anything else?
If you're a singer, don't spit on the stage.
Yep.
You look douchey.
Good advice.
Fuck off! Get rid of town!
Ah, shit.
That's embarrassing.
Fuck off.